What is up?
Great intro.
Hey, Tom. Hey, Josh. Thanks so much, man.
Thanks for having us.
Great to be here.
Of course. So, welcome to the podcast, Tom Mizzone and Travis Howe. Is it Howe? Am I pronouncing that right? Or is it Hoy?
Correct. Yep.
Is it okay? I had a teacher in high school who spelled it like that, but it was Hoy. I wasn't sure. But so Tom is the CEO and founder of Sweet, which is a digital collectibles platform. And then Travis Hoy is the director of NHL relations for NHL Breakaway for Sweet. Really excited to have both of them to join us today. Welcome. Thank you guys for joining us.
Thanks for having us.
Great to be here.
Yeah,
of course. Yeah, really excited to chat with you guys. I've been I started collecting on Sweet like literally the very beginning. Like I remember when you were first I think it was like BSV was when you were kind of doing that initial launch. And yeah, so I still have, OG collectibles, it was like the free ones that you were giving out in the beginning, but I have a lot of those. I have a couple like number one mints and some of those like original like artist releases and so excited to talk to you guys.
Remember the Burger King NFTs? That was awesome. Yeah, it was great. Yeah,
good. I'm glad you guys got involved early on. Very cool.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And speaking of collecting, we'd like to start with a little bit of a collecting background question. Do you guys consider yourself collectors? And if so, what do you collect?
Sure, I'll start. I'm 100% a collector. I collect watches. My wife's not too happy about that, but I've got a collection of watches. I've got vintage.
I hope you got a nice case for them.
Yeah, exactly. Vintage microphones I'm really into, like Neumann and brands like that. When I was a kid, baseball cards. I've got boxes and boxes of Yankees cards.
Nice.
When my kids were into like sports growing up, like all kinds of sports memorabilia, signed baseballs, right? Signed jerseys. So we have I would definitely say the Mizzone family, like we're like big time collectors and we're really into it. And then obviously like the idea of blockchain and what that's able to do with the space we'll get into, I'm sure in a big way, moving into the digital realm. It was just like such a beautiful use case for the technology. So very much.
Awesome.
Yeah, I'm certainly a collector myself. Especially when I was younger, I my whole life I collected hockey cards. I've been in the space of hockey my entire life, so that's my background. But probably the only two players I continue to collect today is my father and then my grandfather. So I still try and collect those from time to time. And then of course, actually I'm proud to say, I think Tom would be excited. I finally completed my first set in the NHL Breakaway program earlier today.
Oh, cool. Nice.
That was a cool feeling using the trade lounge. But I've always been collecting in the sport of hockey my whole life.
Awesome.
That's very cool. Yeah.
I'll just share too. I have a piece. So when they dismantled the original Yankee Stadium, back in the day.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Like you could get yourself like a piece of the field. So I have a glass box, a chunk of the old Yankee Stadium. All kinds of like just really weird stuff. I have a front bumper from one of my early vintage Broncos that I kept. Right.
Nice.
So yeah, absolutely love the space, and I think the we'll get into it, but like where it's all going to me is even more exciting than where it was.
Yeah, absolutely. And I remember when the 49ers stadium, the Candlestick Park was taken down, which actually is the last stadium where the Beatles played. That's the last the venue where the Beatles actually. Yeah, good trivia question. And I always thought about like where those seats went. It's like it would be great to put them in somewhere. But
they're in somebody's basement somewhere. They always sell them off. Yeah. I have a lot of friends that have like Philadelphia. I'm originally from Philadelphia. Have like Spectrum seats or like vet seats from when they tore down those stadiums. And
I grew up outside of Philly myself.
Oh, nice. Whereabouts?
Oh, cool.
Well, my dad used to play for the Flyers, so I kind of grew up there as a kid.
Wow.
There you go.
We always lived on the other side of the bridge in New Jersey, but
got it. Yeah. Nice. I'm on the Pennsylvania side. That's awesome. That's great. Yeah. My grandpa or my pop-up had season tickets like right on the ice growing up. So we would go to games, like second row right on the ice, like right in the Flyers corner.
I miss old Spectrum.
Yeah. Those were fun. Yeah.
So pivoting a little bit, I'd love to hear more for our audience to hear more about your backgrounds before Sweet. Tom, maybe we can start with you.
Yeah, sure. So I've been building tech since the mid 90s, right? Always been very passionate about like looking at opportunities for tech to solve problems. Going way back, like 1996, I started my first company. It was a dial-up ISP, if you can believe it, right? People used to use their phone and a modem to dial into the internet. We had 14.4 kilobits per second modems that people would dial into and like try to get on the web and things like that. So that was called Ultracom. I built that company up, 120 people, and had a fortunate enough to have an exit there. My second company was called Exario, and we did some pretty crazy stuff with voice over IP back in the day.
Cool.
I did a content protection company called Media Essentially. We were, I don't know if you guys remember Napster and all those crazy like file trading days when the MP3 hit the scene, right? So we had a whole suite of services. We were working with Disney, Warner Brothers. Took a little break from tech, launched a track in Las Vegas. It's called Speed Vegas, which is up and running. So it's a really fun exotic car experience that you can do. And then really got intrigued by the blockchain and the opportunity that I saw for collectibles, like moving into digital, and then started Sweet after Speed Vegas. So always been kind of like running my own companies, always been like very passionate.
Always on the bleeding edge. Yeah.
Yeah. How tech can like solve problems, right? And I think this particular business, right, the opportunities and the consumer experience that you can create are, sort of like there's no ceiling to it. I think where we're going to see this technology in the next 5 to 10 years is going to be like a tremendous leap, particularly for not only collectors, but fans, right? Fans of leagues and teams and sports. And so we love the fact that we're pioneering that. So I'm sorry for the cliche, a bit of a serial entrepreneur, but that's what I've been doing since the mid 90s.
That's the goal.
Yeah.
Yeah. As far as myself, as I alluded to earlier, I've been in hockey my whole life. I started out scouting, and then I at one point I was pursuing a coaching career, and then me and some friends and some other folks, we started a business that I had for 17 years, where we ran international hockey camps and tournaments, and you literally anything related to the sport of hockey, both boys and girls, and elite players, some of which are in the NHL today. We did stuff with, and then right around one of the more interesting stories that I have, and I think related to this conversation, is right around that COVID period. I had a good friend of mine, and he was just joking. He's like, but you got anything you do, you got to do blockchain. I had no idea what blockchain was, no clue. And but the more I started to look into it, everyone kept saying like, how it's going to be a critical part of our future. And I have 3 young girls at home, so of course with COVID and stuff, everyone had a little bit more time in their hands, and I decided to take some courses on blockchain technology, or reading the Bitcoin white paper, et cetera. And I fell down that rabbit hole, and I was hooked instantly. And so, after that, actually did a NFT project for the Howe Foundation, which is a nonprofit where all the proceeds went to that. It was a Gordie Howe collection. And then I came across Sweet and the word sports. And I said, well, I have a passion for this blockchain technology, and I have a passion for sports. I got to reach out. And I didn't have any idea at the time about the NHL Breakaway program and the plans that were behind the scenes. But when I joined Sweet, it was announced shortly after, and I've been here ever since.
That's kismet. That works out pretty well.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I love that story. We ended up with Travis Howe, like Mark Howe's son, right?
Yeah.
Gordie Howe's grandson.
Couldn't be any better.
And he had no idea that we were like a year in the making with the NHL. So it was really meant to happen. Good timing.
That's awesome.
Well, so maybe we could backtrack a little bit to before kind of the NHL Breakaway partnership, and you're starting there. Tom, can you tell us more about like kind of just like in general the history of the Sweet platform, and where things are headed and what you're trying to accomplish with it?
Yeah, sure. So like Travis, right? The blockchain was very intriguing to me, and for a while I felt like it was like a really interesting technology looking for a use case, right? Remember those days? It was like blockchain is going to transform pretty much everything, right? Retail, finance, transportation, and really seeing it applied from the perspective of a digital receipt that can authenticate, right, a piece of media. To me, was like, okay, this is a phenomenal opportunity, right, for collectors, for content owners, content creators, right, to really kind of come together and kind of move into a new space. So, I'll say we took a little bit of a contrarian approach back in the day. Everybody was focused on marketplaces and drops. And we said, let's invest in technology that can really break down the barriers for adoption, right? And I'll give you a couple of examples, right? And we all remember those days, right? They weren't that long ago, where we woke up one day and like 50% of our LinkedIn contacts were like Web3 and NFT experts, like overnight, right?
Yeah.
I'd love to like have LinkedIn reach like there's some great query I'm sure you can do in the LinkedIn database that shows how many people change their profile description to include NFT and Web3, like within right in
2021. Yeah.
Right. A lot of noise, a lot of focus on what I would say was like marketplaces and drops. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And from my perspective, like while that was interesting, the way that this was really going to fly is to create really incredible consumer experiences, right? And how do you break down some of the barriers where you can do that? And no one was really doing it at the time. And I'm glad you guys remember the Burger King program, right? Burger King called us, and guess what? They wanted to do a drop, right? to amplify a program that they were launching with a new meal box campaign. Mm-hmm. And we said, we've been investing in the technology in such a way where we think you can deliver game pieces, digital game pieces off the side of these boxes. And it was very, very pioneering. No one even thought the tech can go there at that point. And we basically put QRs on 6 million meal boxes, put them into collection sets, and literally could go to the restaurant, scan, get a digital piece, and get into the collecting experience and unlock value, right? Some people unlock Whoppers for a year. Some people unlocked like additional digital collectibles, right? And it was like a 10 out of 10 campaign. And the press really ate it up because it was like, wow, here's a company finally pioneering, right, the consumer experience and not just sort of talking about the tech from the perspective of like things that don't really resonate to end users. So we did that campaign. We did a big program with Dave & Buster's. I don't know if you guys know that.
Yeah, I remember that one. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we had people literally driving from state to state to state to collect every single game piece at Dave & Buster's.
Wow.
Wow.
So the point is, how do you invest in the technology? How do you not like say all the big buzzwords, right? But invest in the technology in a way that kind of unlocks it for broader consumer experiences. And then you can put that together in a way that's a super compelling end user game, right? I think too many companies are fixated on the buzzwords, right? Like back in the day, NFT, things like decentralization, things like, oh, we're going to onboard the next wave of users into Web3. What does that actually mean to an end user, right? What does that mean to my 16-year-old daughter who keeps her Snapchat streaks every single day with like way too many people, right?
Yeah.
If I said, hey, Lex, like we have a new platform and it's decentralized, right? She's going to be like, I don't care, right? Is it fun, right? And so we've really tried to put the cycles in to say, let's keep our eye on the ball, the consumer experience. How do we make this great? And then bring in the core tenets of Web3 and right, and what that can do. Yeah, you can actually own it. Yeah, you can have comfort that it's got provenance. It's connecting back to the NHL. It's connecting back to the brand. It's the real thing, right? You can display it in a way that you can't display physical collectibles. So that's what Suite's all about, making sure that we keep our eye on the ball on the consumer experience and bring the tech in to support that versus leading with all of these like techie buzzwords that frankly, like most consumers don't care about. So anyway, I get super passionate about that because I see so many sort of shepherding the next wave of users into Web3. Yeah. Right. What is that even like? We don't owe anything to Web3. We don't, right? We want to use Web3 to benefit the consumer, right?
Exactly.
So it's just
and the consumer just doesn't realize the benefits to them yet.
Yeah. And I picture, and sorry, Travis, I'll let you talk, I promise.
No.
I picture a world very soon, guys, where like Web3 is just the internet, right? We're not talking about it. It's just blockchain is powering the next generation of the internet. And all those core tenets are there in everything that really gets launched, right? And that ubiquitous coverage to me is going to be the holy grail, and eventually we'll get there. And the example I like to give too is like, you remember a few years ago, AWS went down for a little while.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
He's like, oh my gosh, AWS is down, Twitter's down, Netflix is down. Like we're like the whole world's like on AWS. How many people do you know that talked about AWS or even like talk about that tech? I think that's where Web3 and blockchain needs to get to, right? Where it's like, it's just a fundamental, ubiquitous part of the future of consumer experiences, digital consumer experiences. And that's back to like your original question. That's what Suite's all about, right? We want to create first and foremost consumer experiences that can lean on that technology. And then you've got magic. You've got 100% magic.
Yeah,
I think the mistake a lot of companies make, especially when they lead with marketplaces, sets expectations that they're just going to grow. Their collectibles are going to grow by 10x overnight, and I think a lot of people end up getting disappointed, especially in the last bull market when things did go crazy, and then unfortunately things crash back down. When you have that marketplace component like so active and so prevalent up front, it definitely sometimes can hurt you, and actually can hurt like the actual like collecting experience.
No, totally. And I'll say too, I'm a big fan of like officially licensed content, right? So
us too.
All four of us can create a new cartoon character tonight, right? And put it out there and try to come up with a story and a narrative and why it's important to collect them and all that stuff. But officially licensed is great because particularly in sports, there's always incredible content. When you collect something in the digital world, it's got provenance back to that team, right? To that player, to the league. You could use the technology to authenticate that, right? In some ways, I think better than physical. Or we all bought like signed baseballs, right? That have like the little hologram. And you're like, okay, I hope Steiner Sports did their job. Like, I think it's the real thing, right? Blockchain in some ways provides a much better authentication there. But users love to collect in the sports realm anyway, right? And it's such a natural extension. And I love what you can do with officially licensed because it's very, very like organic, and it's like what consumers are used to doing anyway.
Yep.
Yeah,
exactly.
I remember the announcement with Burger King, and I remember talking to Spencer and our friend Will. I actually had been to Burger King 10 years prior to that, and I went specifically for this, which is
nice.
Yeah.
Good for you.
Yeah.
Did you get Whoppers for a year or no?
No, we didn't get Whoppers for a year, but we got.
No, Sean wouldn't look the way he does right now if he got Whoppers for a year.
I would have shared. And my dad actually really loves his Steve McQueen photos still. Steve McQueen
cool.
Yeah, he's a huge fan of Steve McQueen, so that was really cool.
Yeah.
I gave it to him for
I've got
his
a couple of
birthday.
those. Yeah,
those
the
are great.
Beatles one as well. The Beatles artwork. Really love those ones too. Yeah.
No, it was definitely like some very, very cool campaigns that run through the platform, right? And glad to see you guys are actual participants, right? You jumped right into good stuff.
Yeah, to be honest, I've fallen off a little bit recently, but I'm excited to, now that I'm talking to you guys and hearing all the updates, I'm excited to jump back in, especially with the NHL Breakaway, which is a great transition. Travis, I'd love if you could give us a little bit of an overview of the platform and what you guys are doing to help the NHL bring digital collectibles to their fans.
Yeah, look, I like to start with, the passion that Tom spoke of earlier, like, that radiates throughout, the entire Suite company. And, it's, in addition to working with the amazing folks at Suite, which power the NHL Breakaway program, I get to work on a daily basis with the NHL Players Association, the Alumni Association, and of course the league itself, the NHL.
Cool.
And it's a collaborative effort where we're putting together all these different highlights and and potentially future things as well that it certainly don't call it work. Let's put it that way. I get to work in an area where I'm passionate about and get to work with people that I always like to say that part of my role and what's really important to me is to maintain the authenticity of the sport itself, of hockey, and represent in the best light, from a collector viewpoint. And I can confidently say that everyone I work with, that everyone that Tom and I work with at all levels and in all parties share that same passion. So it's pretty rewarding for me, for sure.
Awesome. Yeah, and I'll say, like, it starts with the content, right? So if you're thinking about buying your first pack or getting your first collectible, highlight, play, right? The content is key. And I have to say, Travis and the team, the product team, and the content team, and the NHL, very committed to a lot of strategy around the content, right? So you can truly experience a play with angles that you've maybe never seen before. Keeping the audio as part of the play, ensuring that there's a calibration of the significance of the play with how it's scored in the platform, right? One thing I really don't like is sort of fabricated Willy Wonka ticket rarity approaches, right? It's like, hey, this is a meaningless thing, but let's just make one of them, right? Therefore, it is important, right? That is not what we're doing with NHL Breakaway. We're looking at every single play and calibrating that to what that play actually means, right? And giving it a relevant rarity tier and edition size based on that.
Cool.
Yeah,
I like that.
So if you get something that's legendary, it was absolutely legendary in the sport of hockey, right?
Yeah, that's the way to do it.
Versus like we're telling you it's legendary. And so a lot of thought's gone into the content. Very proud of the pack opening experience, the content, very visceral. If you go on X or Twitter and do some searches, right? People are like, hey, you've got my attention. This is the greatest, not only content in terms of highlights, but greatest pack opening experience, right? Within the sports realm. So it starts with the content, and the content is key. And then I'll say too, one of the things as a good sort of product driven organization that you do is you talk to the consumer and you talk to the end user, even before you start building. And we made a lot of rounds with people, digital collectors, physical collectors, and really trying to kind of understand. And we heard a lot of themes. Theme number one was like frustration with moving of the goalpost. Okay. 2 years ago, I bought something. It was ranked as a core, and the maximum edition size of a core was X, right? Now the platform says, hey, we're going to make core like 10 times bigger, right? That is breaking the integrity of that thing that collector initially got his or her hands on, right? So that's number one. So we call it a covenant with the fans and the covenant with the end user, where when you get something, we're never going to move the goalpost on you.
It's so important, a collecting experience. So important.
Yeah. And the second big theme we heard was lack of the utility of display. Okay. Nobody knows I have this stuff. And I think it's such a missed opportunity in the space, because we all talk about our physical collectibles. I have a box in my attic of so much stuff that no one has seen in 20 years. Right?
Yeah.
And here we now can do this in the digital world. And people, like one gentleman we interviewed said, I feel like all the things that I own, like NFTs and digital, are locked in a digital attic in a digital box, and nobody sees it ever. So we're really leaning into the trophy case concept, right? Everyone's got a public profile. You can show off what you own. You can find someone's repository and say, hey, wow, this guy's a huge Rangers fan, and this is really, really cool content. So that part, and then the social elements as well, right? Doing things like trades, hooking up with people, waking up in the morning and making a decision, right? Do I want to do this trade? Ooh, shoot, like maybe I should, maybe I shouldn't, right? So those are really core tenets to the NHL Breakaway program. And then on top of it, of course, there's marketplace and, there's primary drops and a lot of other good stuff, but really gamified social and unlocking value in a way that's really never been done before is what we're really all about at Breakaway NetSuite.
That's awesome. I wanted to just highlight a couple comments from people in the audience real quick. Yeah, people are happy with the moment selection so far. People are saying the plays look fantastic. Thanks, Simplest Life. Thanks, Eric. And like the way that the rarity is going as well. And we'll get to some of the other questions. I saw there's some tough questions that came earlier in the stream, and maybe towards the end we can address some of those.
Sure.
And wanted to give a huge shout out to Daniel, one of the big supporters of the podcast. What's up, Daniel? So I guess kind of going off of that. So I think a lot of people in the NFT space and kind of in the digital collectible space, when they think of sports collectibles, they kind of instantly think of NBA Top Shot. They're doing kind of like a similar style of moment. Kind of curious what you guys, or what sets you guys apart from NBA Top Shot and other similar platforms.
Yeah, I'll go first, and then Travis, you can weigh in. So first of all, a lot of respect for Top Shot, the team at Dapper, right? I know a lot of the team at Dapper. Yeah. They started it all, like CryptoKitties back in the day, right? Really? Yeah. And so even the folks at Candy, right? We have a pretty good relationship. So everybody's, I would say, friendly and propelling the space forward. Okay. So this is not in any way throwing mud or in any way saying, hey, like I would have done it X, Y, Z or differently. But, I will say that we've just taken a fan-centric, user-centric approach to everything that we do. And I think some of the other platforms, maybe just because of when they started, right? And when they jumped in, definitely looked at more of a marketplace, right? Getting in early was important. So I think some of the things that we've done differently is number one, I call it a lazy river approach to getting into the program. Okay. One of the things, as we talked to a lot of the users in other programs, was if you didn't get here early, you could never compete, right? So you've got this sort of sliver of like top people on the top that have no incentive to bring their friends in, or people don't even want to come in because they're so far behind, right? So the lazy river analogy is like, get on the raft and get in, and you're floating around with everybody, right? So making sure that we can encourage late participants or later participants to get in and be on equal footing with everybody else, number one. Number two, not moving the goalposts on things like rarity and keeping that integrity is absolutely critical. Like we're lockstep on that. On a lot of cycles with the NHL on that as well, right? Making sure that, hey, we're all going in and this is the program and this is how it is. So the confidence that we're not going to be moving the goalpost. But I'll say like the number one thing that we've tried to differentiate ourselves with is leaning into the gamified and social elements. Okay. And I don't like to talk about what's right around the corner. And it's frankly like a frustration point of mine, because you go into Discord and you see a lot of like really great founding fans and users talking about like the platform and they're huge, right? They are like the lifeblood of this program, but they don't always have sort of the roadmap and they don't know like what's right around the corner. So it's like, oh, like, I can't wait. Why are they not like adding this? Well, it might be coming, right? So there's a lot of product development coming. I don't like to say what's coming because, sometimes the roadmap changes and I never want to be accused of
overpromise, underdeliver.
Yeah.
Mizzone
said this feature's coming. Where is it? Right. So, but just know a lot of development's happening, but where have we leaned in? We've leaned into the number one, making sure that this is a place for hockey fans. This is about content. It's about like seeing your sport that you love in a completely different way. Okay. Number two, gamified elements, set completion, things like dynamic quests where we can spin up a quest that's really tailored to you as a collector based on what you're interested in, right? Versus a one size fits all.
Cool.
You'll notice we launched with the trading system, very pioneering trading system before the marketplace. So people can do social trades, can get to know each other, can do things like, hey, I want to get to a set completion challenge faster. I've got 2 of these particular editions. I'm going to put one up on the trading block. So that is sort of the very DNA, right, of what we're after as a platform versus marketplace, just trying to find like those legendary items and sort of looking at things through a portfolio value perspective, right? So very much gamified, content driven, ensuring that the cohorts don't sort of stick with a very small subset of users, but can really resonate with other users. The NHL is very much behind this in a big way in terms of like integrating of tickets, game day experiences. So you're going to see a lot more of that open up as we kind of are coming out of beta and going full stride here. So Travis, feel free to add anything to it, but very, very different platform.
Real quick, Eric, I was seeing if you could mention anything more about the dynamic quest. I don't know if that's something you're able to share more on right now, but I'm very interested in that, like the personalized quest. It's really cool.
Yeah. More on that very, very soon. I got to hold the line, right? But very soon you're going to hear more about that. And
we have a history of people accidentally leaking things on our show, so I wouldn't be surprised if you let something slip.
Thank you for breaking the streak.
Yeah, right. Well, I teased it. Let's put it that way.
Nice.
I know this doesn't help, but I'm just blown away by what the tech team does at Sweet and the things that, to Tom's point, that are coming down the pipeline. And I was referencing earlier that I finally completed my first set. I actually had like 5 free minutes of time earlier this morning, and so I quickly jumped to my account and I started using the trade tool, and it was as simple as that. Like, it's incredibly user friendly in my opinion. And
is it the similar trade function that you had on the original Suite app? Is it like that where people can like, say that they want something for a specific item, then it automatically match them up if somebody else has that same?
Yeah, it's a little more sophisticated and getting more sophisticated very soon. But so this allows you to put a request out for a very specific edition. Okay, so I could say,
oh wow,
yeah. So I've got this Connor McDavid, and I want this particular play. And Sean has it, and I want edition number 22 or whatever, right? So Sean would be the only one that would get that request, obviously. We also do broadcast trades as well. So you can say, I'm just trying to get through this set, okay? And maybe this resonates more with an everyday fan, right? I just want to complete this set and unlock tickets or unlock another collectible. I don't necessarily care which edition I get back. So I'm going to do a broadcast trade. Everybody that's eligible will receive that trade request. You can deny it or they can accept it. First user that accepts, right, the trade will ratify and complete. So, a lot more coming on the trades functionality that I think the users and the fans will be very, very excited about. But yeah, so it's a very, very valuable tool, right, to come in and work through your collection in different ways.
That's awesome. Yeah, we're huge fans of mint numbers and serial numbers on collectibles, especially in digital collectibles. Like, I don't know if you guys are familiar with the VB platform, but we do a lot of investing, especially in comic books on that platform. And so we're always going after comic book publishing year mint numbers and, things like that, related to the actual IP. So I'm sure there's people on the platform that are going after, player number, numbers or like the year that the play happened or, things like that on NHL Breakaway. That's awesome.
100%. Yeah. You've got your heavy users that know exactly what they want. And then you've got more casual people that just want to unlock different things that you can do in the platform. But first and foremost, though, it's got to be fun. It's got to be engaging, right? And we want you to find this as a place to be with like-minded people, celebrating the sport that, we all love. And nobody knows their sport more than hockey fans, right?
Yeah,
they know their sport, right? And every sort of, and it was good to see the positive feedback on the way we're curating and creating these highlights because, they will hold us accountable for sure. And I think the team's doing a great job.
We've got another question. Will player jersey numbers have badges next to them? That's a cool idea.
Yeah, I mean, Travis, you want to take that one?
Yeah, I don't know that I'm even the appropriate person to take the thing, but I know that the badges are obviously carefully thought out and considered, and I think to Tom's earlier point in terms of community feedback and collector feedback and stuff, I think anything's on the table.
Nice. Very nice. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, badges would definitely help people actually keep things in their collection. Yeah, I think especially it probably help people realize that they have things that are significant that they might not realize. They might, yeah,
for sure.
By the way, I'll say I must be an awful trader because the 2 trades I proposed today, they were accepted in like 30 seconds. So.
Oh no, you must have given something up pretty good, but you completed the set. So
yeah.
What is the current reward for completing the set right now?
Yeah, go ahead, Travis.
It obviously depends on each particular set, but I think a couple have been revealed, if I'm not mistaken, where there's going to be some mystery highlights and stuff like that. So there's I don't know if any particular one has been announced yet, so I don't want to break it if it hasn't.
Gotcha. Yeah, makes sense. Are you guys doing things with real life experiences, tickets to games or ability to meet players, things like that?
For sure.
Yeah,
for sure. We've gone through that with the NHL. We've got a big sort of allocation, right, particularly for NHL Breakaway, and so you're going to see more and more of that incorporated, right, and how we can tie the visceral experience of the actual game, right, to NHL Breakaway. So 100%, that's a big part of what's coming.
Very cool.
Yeah, Travis, you got a potential trader. Somebody's trying to take advantage here.
Yeah. What do you got? AEH. It was after my girls and stuff. So
AEH. There we go. Nice.
I don't have any epic. I don't have any epic rarity tier ones. I don't have any making mark ones, but I got some good stuff.
Yeah, gotcha. Another again, a lot of cool ideas from your community here. Yeah, having the players comment on their own highlights, that'd be a very, very cool way to allow them to engage a little bit more.
Nice. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Again, I think the community would be very, very pumped, right, if they were in our product planning sessions, and so there's a lot of really cool stuff coming. Awesome. You have to number one, we want to get the very core components out, get that initial round of feedback, and then I'll say after marketplace, which is I can share on this call, is imminent. where users for the first time can buy and sell with each other. You know, a lot of sort of micro tuning and enhancements of the existing features you're going to see moving forward. So it's an exciting time.
Amazing. Kind of a broad question here, but what do you think? What do you think the impact digital collectibles will have on the sports industry, and then vice versa? What impact do you think sports will have on digital collectibles?
Yeah, I like these macro questions, right? So I'll say that if you look at any vertical out there, there's not a vertical better suited to capitalize on collectibles and to sort of engage with fans in a whole new way than the sports vertical. As I mentioned earlier, right, you don't have to fabricate a narrative. The narrative is there, right? You've got draft, you've got opening day, you've got like regular season, you've got all-star, right? You got playoffs, you got championship games. I mean, if you watch SportsCenter every night, there's like incredible, like dramatic plays that are happening in sports, right? And so this constant production of content for users, and then the way that can be digitized and presented to users in unique ways, experience the game in unique ways, huge opportunity. You know, we work with a lot of different sports organizations. Everybody's leaning in a very big way, right? Even, you know, I think you can say like maybe in the last year and a half, there's been a little bit of a cooling off, right? Not in the sports vertical, like they're really leaning in because they're very energized by a whole new way to engage with the fan base and how the fans can engage with their favorite teams and leagues and players. So I think
we're seeing that.
Yeah, very big play. You know, from a market size perspective, like it's an absolutely growing space. You know, so that's number one. You know, in terms of like the content itself, right, and what it can mean for collectors, like I love the fact that I can own a piece of a team, right, or a league or a player in a digital way, and that there's a social and a shareable element of that I cannot do with my old Yankees cards, right?
Yeah.
You know, so the fact that like we as consumers can have virtual trophy cases, I can ping Travis and say, "Hey, your collection's awesome, dude." Right? And by the way, do you want to do this straight? You want to do this straight, right?
Yeah. Yeah. You got to butter them up a little first.
Yeah. So that, right? The idea, like we did a big program with the New York Knicks where we distributed at the Garden, and we, you know, and I don't want to like speak out of line in terms of like the exact metric that was broken, but we were told, okay, it was the highest conversion ever of a QR on a jumbotron at Madison Square Garden, which is crazy,
cool.
Right?
Yeah,
because it was a digital collectible. It wasn't like a free Coke or something like that, right? So so we take a lot of pride in that, and like it starts to sort of show you where this stuff can go, right? And so consumer experiences, I think, will really be heightened, anchored by collectibles that are authenticated on the blockchain. Again, not leading with that gobbledygook tech, right? But leading with the actual experience itself. And I think it just like opens up all kinds of opportunities for the end user. You know, as long as, okay, the core tenets of fun, social, you know, engaging sort of remain front and center, right? In terms of what the experience is. So make sure that the technology is supporting and that you're not telling a very technical story that's only going to resonate with a very small group of people, right? So that's what we're all about. And I think the future is extremely bright. And I think this is going to be a very big space, both directions.
Yeah, to me, just to add a little bit, something that's for me personally as a collector, obviously working with the NHL Breakaway program for Sweet and you know, and just as a general hockey fan, like I think one of the coolest things that we're able to do in this space is you know, capture like moments in time. And I like to think, at least for some of them, these are moments that, you know, players would always remember, you know, past and present, and when they're retired 20 years from now and potentially making the Hall of Fame and they reference it or something like that. But, you know, we were talking about the old Spectrum earlier, you know, the old home of the Philadelphia Flyers. And when my dad was playing there, they were in it was Game 6 in 1987 versus the Oilers in the Stanley Cup Final. And JJ Daigneault scored the game-winning goal, which they call the goal. It's like where the roof almost caved in for the Spectrum. That's how loud it was. And I was a kid.
Yeah.
I remember. I'll never forget. Right. And of course they went to Edmonton, lost, but the next game. But it was an amazing moment at the time for Flyers fans.
Mm-hmm.
And but JJ Daniel was certainly not a household name. And this is not a digital collectibles versus cards conversation or anything like that. But there's a difference to me between maybe me wanting to collect a JJ Daniel hockey card and actually collecting that moment in time that I remember,
right.
and having those sounds and stuff. It's just,
to me, the memory associated with it is nostalgic.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Totally. So we get to, I love the fact that we get to tell these stories and celebrate. Like, one thing that I think makes hockey special is anyone can be a hero. And you see that all the time. It's not only the McDavids and the star players, but it is those JJ Daniels and other guys that you may not be household names. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, I'll just throw it too. Like I took my two sons to Rangers Devils playoffs this year, and
nice.
We when we went, it was at the Garden. We went through the gate, and we all got like rally towels. The first thing, right? My 10-year-old son like forgot his rally towel. Like we got home, and by the way, the fans crazy, right? Guys next to us disappeared, came back, bought us like Rangers duffel bags, and like you could see like the passion of the fans, right? Like, hey, here's for your kids and all this stuff. But we got home, and my son realized he had lost his rally towel, and it was like his whole world was rocked, right? And think about why, right? Is that rally towel like worth anything? No, there's probably like, I don't know how many thousands were given away. It was his visceral connection back to that day, right? Mm-hmm. With me, his brother, brought my dad too, like, and that was like something he wanted to hang up on his wall in his room. And the fact that can be moving now into the digital world is huge. And the fact that, like, again, you'd have the broader utility of display too. How many people are going to see that rally towel in his bedroom? Not his friends, right? A few people, but moving that to digital, getting some sort of like digital highlight or collectible that brings you back to that experience that you'll never forget, right? And then having the social element of saying, check out my digital wall of memorabilia that I have that brings me back to that game. I think it's just super powerful, right? It's a whole new realm and a whole new dimension that we didn't even think was going to be possible like 5-10 years ago.
Yeah. And we're starting to see that too with even sports tickets, like the demand for sports tickets, especially tickets that represent a very significant moment in his history.
True.
Like Michael Jordan's first game. There was a guy who ended up selling a Michael Jordan's first NBA game ticket, and that ticket sold for like $500,000. It's like, what the? It's crazy.
Travis, what do you got there?
I got my favorite video game of all time. I'm probably dating myself now, and it was old the MS-DOS.
DOS.
And
that's awesome.
My dad even has a quote on there, but no, I love this game.
Oh, really?
I got
that's so cool.
Draft and everything, so it was fun.
That's so cool. A big shout to VGA. We actually know that pretty well.
Yeah, we that's awesome. Quite a bit. Yeah, we love those guys.
But so translating that to the digital space in any aspects, I mean, even actually having tickets too, commemorative tickets of that day could be really special too. There's a lot of opportunity, especially giving people that accessibility for these things. It's really exciting.
Yeah, or even on the ticket side, preventing people from reselling tickets and making sure that it's the true fans that are really the ones that are getting them. I think it applies to music as well as sports, but I think totally. That's a huge problem where I think so many of these tickets for these live events are unfortunately just they go to the resellers and then they take their cut and the fans they get the harder end of the bargain.
Yeah, a lot of people are trying to solve that issue, but yeah, it's a big one for sure.
Yeah. So I guess for anybody listening here right now, or whoever is listening later on, to the recording, what's the best way for somebody to get involved in NHL Breakaway?
Yeah. So, well, first of all, I think we have some free packs for you guys, correct? So we've got some.
Yes. So yeah, we were going to announce that at the end, but we can do that now. But for our community, no, it's fine. We can do it now. But yeah, so we have 25 free packs that we're going to be giving away to our community. So we're going to be posting a little bit later, either today or tomorrow, with the details on how to get involved in that. But yeah, very exciting. So everybody's going to be able to experience the pack opening experience and see what that looks like. And yeah, so very exciting. Really appreciate the generous generous giveaway.
No, of course. Yeah, we created this Ice Nation pack. It's really cool. It gives people the chance to experience it. It's a really easy way to get in. We mint it. It goes right into your account, and then you can choose to open it if you want to. So that's cool. Obviously go to NHLBreakaway.com. Check out all the details around the program. There's a blog area that has a lot of specifics on features and things like that. But we love for users to jump in, right, and do their first trade, freeze their first highlight. When the marketplace is live, you can obviously filter by team, by player. So if you want to come in because you're very much into a specific team, right, you don't have to buy a pack. You can just go in and get into the highlights area and filter. So all that stuff kind of gets you right in, and then do your first trade, freeze your first highlight, right? Start your first set completion. It's super fun. It's really compelling. And I'll say we made it very, very easy. Okay. So don't be intimidated by the tech, words like blockchain and Web3 and, all that good stuff. If you can sign up for Instagram, you can sign up for Breakaway, you can jump right in, and join our Discord. There's official channels. I'll say that the league is extremely passionate and excited about this program, right? There's a long-term play with the league. So you can have comfort that this is going to be around for a very, very long time. And we'd love to have your audience jump in and check out Breakaway.
Amazing. Well, Tom, Travis, this has been so fun. It's been such a good conversation. It's been really insightful and great to hear a little bit more behind the scenes, especially because I've been, following you guys for such a long time. But yeah, really excited about NHL Breakaway and everything you guys have planned. For everybody who's listening and watching, make sure to follow both Tom, Travis. I think we can add your details afterwards, but as well as Sweet and NHL Breakaway. Make sure you follow all of them in the comments below. And then we're going to be running this giveaway. So pay attention on our Twitter, on the Comics and Crypto Twitter, where we're going to be running that.
Awesome. Thanks for having us.
Awesome.
Yeah, guys.
Absolutely. And thanks everybody for joining today. It's a lot of fun. We'll see you on the next one.
See you on the next one. All right.
Take care. Bye all.